Good morning.
Good morning.
There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Sophie. Is that Melissa?
Melissa.
I have to improve my, I have to lower more shades in my room.
It's pretty bright in there this morning.
Oh, it's a beautiful day.
Could I ask who is Glenn's iPhone, the name?
Glenn Edgecombe,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Glenn, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you can see me or not, but
you. We cannot see you.
yeah, I don't know what's, let me see here. Maybe that'll help. There we go.
Yes.
There you go. Now we can see you. We're still waiting on 2 panel members, and then we'll be ready. Let's still have some time. I'll be back on, Peter, in a minute when
Sure.
they're here. Okay.
Mr. Edgecombe, where are you speaking to us from?
I'm out here in Illinois right now on the road. I'm on 74. I don't know if I'm probably just outside of Champaign, Illinois.
Ah,
I'm headed toward Atlanta. Atlanta, Georgia.
I think Champaign is where the University of Illinois is based, as I remember.
I was up in Wisconsin there. I think I picked up some French fries in Wisconsin. I actually delivered French fries from Maine to Wisconsin, and they picked up French fries going to.
Are you a Caribou resident?
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Broder.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry if I'm a little late. I was having trouble finding the link.
You're right on time.
Perfect.
All right, so Peter, I'm gonna start the recording and everybody is on.
Well,
I'm not expecting the respondent to sign in, but if he does, I'll let him in.
let's wait like 2 more minutes. Because the absence of the respondent is a significant event in and of itself. Let's wait 2 or 3 more minutes
Okay,
before we actually start the formal hearing, Melissa.
okay, thank you, Peter.
May I ask again, the name of the court reporter? I'm bad with names.
That's okay. It's Lisa Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Ms. Fitzgerald.
You're welcome.
Ms. Littlehale,
Yes,
when was the last communication between your office and Mr. Umphrey?
let me check. I emailed him and had a response sometime in April, but let me double check and I'll get right back to you. Peter,
Yes.
the actual last communication I had with Mr. Humphreys was on April 27th, where he emailed me. I have emailed him the link, the hearing notice, and the party makeup and such, and not heard any response.
So the last email communication was in April, and this concerned, it was before the actual notice of hearing went out, but what was the subject of the back and forth?
So on April 26th, I sent an email to Mr. Humphreys reminding him of his responsibility to refund the petitioner his fee. The order had given him 30 days and he had failed to make that refund. So I sent him an emailed reminder and asked him to provide me with proof within 2 business days that he had made that refund. Or I would have to forward the information to Bar Counsel. So he did respond to that email and provided a copy of the check and a letter that he composed to Mr. Edgecombe.
Thank you. I think we can start the hearing now, or the formal part of this hearing.
Okay, thank you.
We are at 10:05, more or less, 10:05 a.m. on Tuesday, June 14, 2022. This is a disciplinary hearing conducted before a panel of the Grievance Commission of the Board of Bar Overseers in the matter of Board of Overseers of the Bar versus Dan P. Umphrey, Esquire. This is file number GCF 21-197. I've been designated as the chair of this panel. My name is Peter Bickerman. I'm an attorney who resides in Reedfield. Joining me on the panel are Attorney Bernard J. Broder from Acton and public member Sophie Leotsakos Wilson from Orono. Ms. Wilson, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
You're awful close, but most people just call me Sophie Wilson.
I'll call you Ms. Wilson for this purpose. The date of the, we already discussed date and time. In attendance are Bar Counsel Julia Sheridan, complainant Glenn Edgecombe, and Board Clerk Melissa Littlehale, who is here to serve as a resource to members of the hearing panel for any administrative and procedural matters that may arise. Mr. Umphrey, the respondent attorney, was given notice of this proceeding and has not appeared. We have waited a little bit past the normal starting time. We've heard not a word from him since he communicated with board clerk back in late April. And so we are going to proceed in Mr. Umphrey's absence. Because of that fact, the allegations in the disciplinary charge are deemed admitted, they're deemed true. And the purpose of this panel today will be to discuss, to decide what kind of sanction we deem appropriate. But there are some formalities we should go through. The parties had previously had an opportunity to object to the composition of the hearing panel, and no objection has been received. Could Bar Counsel reaffirm that she has no objection to the composition of the panel?
Good morning. Thank you. No objection.
Thank you. This is an open public disciplinary hearing being conducted pursuant to Maine Bar Rule 13, subsection C7. This proceeding was initiated by the board's filing of a formal disciplinary charges petition. The respondent failed to file an answer to the charges to the petition within the prescribed time, and for the record, has failed to file a formal answer ever to the charges petition. Therefore, under Rule 20, subsection A, the facts set forth and the misconduct alleged therein shall be taken as admitted, and the only issue before the panel is the matter of the appropriate sanction for the misconduct. Would Bar Counsel Sheridan care to make a preliminary or opening statement?
Thank you. Yes, I would. Excuse me. Oh, I thought someone had said something. As is set forth in the formal disciplinary charges petition, Attorney Umphrey violated his duties of diligence and communication, and also with regard to the reasonableness of his fee. And those are now deemed admitted because he has failed to contest the allegations. He has also failed to participate in this process at all, has not communicated with Bar Counsel's office, has not responded to the allegations in any way. And at this point, Bar Counsel is requesting that this panel instruct Bar Counsel to file an information with the court to seek a suspension.
Thank you, Ms. Sheridan. Mr. Edgecombe, this is your
Yes.
chance to make an opening statement, if you'd like to, regarding what your interactions with Attorney Umphrey and what you think should happen.
Well, I'll just kind of go back to show what really happened. On June of 2019, we discussed filing a immigration visa for my wife in the Philippines to immigrate to the US. And basically he agreed to do that and took the filing fee at the time, which was $535. And then he was supposed to do that. And then about a month later, in July, I paid another filing fee of $535, which was for the daughter, which I didn't know at the time, but it wasn't really needed because my children had already had citizenship rights in the US. So it wasn't that hard to get them a US birth certificate and passport. And then basically for about 2 years there, I was led to believe everything was fine. And I used to call in and check with them, every month or 2 months and to see what the progress was. So, and he would always tell me, well, it's slow. We get, COVID or something, or that, at first it was like the Trump administration was slowing down immigration, and then it was the COVID, and then, and then in July, I think it was, of 2021, I got word that he was leaving Solomon and Hunter's law firm in Caribou and kind of going on his own. And so I went in there around August and talked with, the law firm, and spoke with Rick Solomon, who was kind of there that I had spoken with previously in years before. And in the process of communicating with the secretaries in the office, they actually informed me that, and this was after 2 years, that no application had ever been filed. So at that point, they gave me an address, which was a PO box in Caribou, to request a refund, which I did. I sent Dan Umphrey a letter. And at the same time, in October of 2021, I acquired another lawyer, and I filed the immigration petition for immigration visa, the I-130, in October. And within like about 10 days, I had received letters from both the USCIS and the Department of Homeland Security. Had both sent me letters acknowledging that they received the application and that, the process had begun for the immigration application. So I was kind of, I guess, I thought it's a wasted 2 years there. I thought that this was being done. At this time there, this was filed about 8 months ago, and I probably have roughly 1 more year. So 2 years is turning into 4 years, you know what I mean? It's as far as what the outcome is, I don't know. I'm not happy about all the wasted time.
May I interrupt you for a second, Mr. Edgecombe?
Okay.
We're getting some feedback on our Zoom situation. I suggest what we should try to do, those of us when we're not speaking, we should mute ourselves, and that might reduce the feedback. There may be there's some volume coming, some noise coming through that shouldn't be. Let's try that. And then the only tricky part is to unmute yourself when you want to speak, which I just made that mistake. So I didn't mean to cut you short. You can please go on.
Okay. Basically, too, once I started getting suspicious, which was in the spring of 21, I attempted to communicate with Dan Umphrey, and I basically was ignored. There was no line of communication. I haven't spoken with him for quite a while. So it got to the point eventually where he just ignored me and didn't communicate with me at all. Even when I sent the request in for a refund, I got no response back. Never got a response back. The refund only came once the Board of Overseers pressured him to send me the refund, and that's when it finally came in. I think there's something, obviously, I think he did something wrong. If he wasn't going to file the immigration petition or couldn't do it, he should have let me know right off in the beginning. But this went on, for a couple of years, which I think was kind of very unprofessional on his part. As far as, you were asking me what I think you guys should do because of all of this. I'm not really sure. I don't think he's a good lawyer. I'll never go back to him again. I wouldn't advise anybody either too. So I don't know. That's my point of view. And I think I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgecombe. Does Bar Council have any questions for Mr. Edgecombe?
No, I don't. I guess I would ask Mr. Edgecombe after you had, oh, well, I do actually, just one relatively minor question. After you obtained replacement counsel, Mr. Edgecombe, have you succeeded in getting your wife and child and children to be with you in this country?
It's in process now. It's still in the process where the USCIS has to approve it. As of the last update I got, as of March 1st, they sent me, because I've got an online account where I can check the status of the application. And they said that as of March 1st, they were actively reviewing it. I haven't heard anything since then. It still needs to be approved. According to, I got a lawyer in Boston who actually specializes in immigration, which that was what I should have did maybe in the first place. But, and he's told me that it takes roughly 18 months to 2 years to get it finished. I'm about 8 months into it now, so I'm estimating that I probably have about 1 more year before I get the mother over here. Since then, we have 2 children, and they both have U.S. birth certificates and U.S. passports. I could bring them over here anytime, but they're little. They're only 3 and 1.5. So, I haven't brought them over here. I want to bring them here with the mother, not without the mother.
And obviously, this whole process has been delayed by some 2 years as a result of Mr. Umphrey, correct?
Yes, yes. And in the process, see, what it is I go there in the winter and visit, but I'm here in the summer working. So while I'm over here working, there's a separation. They're in Philippines and I'm here. So there's a separation, and I'm sure she's not too happy about it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any further? So next, Ms. Wilson, do you have any questions for Mr. Edgecombe?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Mr. Broder, do you have any questions for Mr. Edgecombe?
I do, thank you. Mr. Edgecombe, when you paid Attorney Umphrey, was your check payable to him personally or to Solomon and Hunter?
Solomon and Hunter.
It was. And
Yes.
If I understand correctly, there was no formal written representation agreement as to this matter. Is that correct?
No, I just communicated with Dan Umphrey just verbally, and we discussed filing that application, which he agreed to do. And so I paid a filing fee in June for the mother, and then again in July for the daughter, which I didn't realize it at the time, and I don't think he knew either, but that wasn't really necessary.
Yeah.
So I paid the total of like $1,070 in that time. And both them checks were written out to Solomon and Hunter. And then in the summer of 2021, when I had the problems after Dan Umphrey left, I visited the Solomon and Hunter office, and I asked them for the refund because they were the ones I paid the refund to. And Rick Solomon told me that the money went with Dan Umphrey when he left the office. Basically, it went into his account, and that all left with him. So that he told me that I had to communicate with him in order to get the refund. I wasn't able to communicate. I could never reach him. So Solomon Hunter's office did give me an address, a PO box, where I could send the request, and which I did. And then I didn't hear anything back.
Thank you. And was that meeting with Attorney Solomon in August of 2021, was that the first time that you spoke to anyone at Solomon and Hunter regarding any dissatisfaction with Mr. Umphrey or not hearing back from Mr. Umphrey? Or did you ever express anything like
Yeah.
that to anyone
Well,
else? at
starting about in May of 2021, you know, I was in there, and I think I never really expressed, but they knew though that I was starting to think, well, this is taking too long, you know. And
who's they? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like. who
well,
were
I
you
went, I
talking
would,
to?
I would go
Secretaries?
into the office. Yeah, the secretaries. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And actually the secretaries were the ones at the end, you know, once Dan Umphrey had left Solomon and Hunter and he had been gone for like about a month, I went in there for the second time to find out about the refund and, you know, to try to come on. And, you know, so after speaking with them intensely, the secretaries actually came forth to me and told me directly that, because I didn't know this before that, they told me that the application was not ever filed,
Mhm.
that they
Thank
didn't
you, I
know of any
appreciate it.
application being filed.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Edgecombe.
Mr. Edgecombe, I have a couple follow-up questions. Mr. Broder already asked something I was going to ask, but just for the record to make it clear, you wrote 2 checks to Solomon and Hunter totaling on this matter, totaling $1,070. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Prior to this engagement on the immigration matter, had you used Mr. Umphrey or other lawyers at Solomon and Hunter for other matters?
Yes. Before even Dan Umphrey went to Solomon and Hunter's, I had used Rick Solomon for other matters concerning purchasing land, because I have a farming operation, you know, in Caribou. And I used them for, you know, for the business. And so that's why. And then I think what happened is Rick Solomon kind of moved me towards Dan Umphrey when he came there. So yes, there was other matters that I had lawyers for, and several things. I had purchased some land from my father. I had other issues where I acquired a small piece of land that was within that. So yes, but it was mostly it was all business related.
And on these other matters, so you said Mr. Rick Solomon has sort of moved you toward Mr. Umphrey. Did you deal significantly with Mr. Umphrey on those other matters, those prior matters?
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, I ended up dealing with Mr. Umphrey on some of those other matters. Yeah. And actually right now there's some things I need to try to do too, because I actually need to go back and talk with Solomon and Hunter's office to make sure that concerning the business, I want to make sure that he's not still has some of the, you know, business documents in his possession. I want Rick Solomon to try to get them back.
Do you know, of your own personal knowledge, whether Mr. Umphrey is doing an active practice of law right now?
I'm not positive. I only know that when I talked to them at Solomon Hunter's law offices in, you know, August of 2021, what they told me was that he's practicing out of his house in Caribou, and that basically all he is doing is criminal stuff with the court. So I think basically, from what I understand, he's like a court-appointed lawyer in Caribou.
Thank you, Mr. Edgecombe. In light of what's been asked already, do the panel members have any follow-up or any further questions? Ms. Wilson?
No, thank you.
Mr. Broder?
No, thank you.
And I don't have any further question. How about Bar Counsel? Ms. Sheridan, do you have any further questions?
I don't, thank you.
Ms. Sheridan, may I ask, just as a technical matter, the petition made reference to $1,050. Was that a
mistake?
typo?
Maybe.
Really $1,070?
I think we're hearing directly from Mr. Edgecombe, and I think that is correct. So I think that must, and I apologize for that, but I believe that that is a mistake.
No need to apologize, just want to understand. So we're at the stage now, in the absence of the respondent. that Ms. Sheridan, would you like to make any kind of brief closing statement?
Yes, thank you. I am asking this panel to recommend Bar Council, to request that Bar Council file an information seeking a suspension of Mr. Umphrey. It's clear to Bar Council's mind that that for the protection of the public, Mr. Umphrey should not be out there, making his services on offer, his legal services on offer to an unsuspecting public. Moreover, his failure to cooperate in any way with this regulatory process and to follow the rules of the main bar rules, as well as the main rules of professional conduct, which are enacted by the Supreme Judicial Court, to Bar Council demonstrates that he is not fit to practice for whatever reason. And we don't even know why, because of his failure to cooperate with this process in any way. And I am asking this panel to instruct Bar Council to file an information seeking suspension with the court.
Thank you, Ms. Sheridan. The public hearing is now closed, and the panel will meet privately in a breakout room to deliberate. I would ask that everyone please remain in place in your Zoom meeting place. And Ms. Littlehale will join the panel members in the breakout room, and then we'll come back when we're done with our deliberations. We'll reconvene the hearing and come back and announce the outcome of our deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let me set up the room and I'll send you over.
Okay, are we all back?
Yes.
Except, let's see, is Mr. Edgecombe, we see his iPhone, but not him. That's
Yeah,
okay.
hold on here.
That's okay.
Hold on. There. See me now?
We do.
Okay.
After due deliberations, the panel has voted unanimously to recommend, we're going to issue a decision asking for the filing of an information seeking the suspension of the respondent attorney, Mr. Umphrey, for numerous violations or numerous apparent violations of the main bar rules of the Code of Professional Conduct. We also would ask, we, the panel, would request that Bar Council, we can't tell you what to do, but we would urge you to initiate a disciplinary proceeding against whoever the manager is, managing partner of the firm of Solomon and Hunter, to whom money was paid, and they were aware that no services were being provided and they did nothing to improve the situation, as far as we can tell. Causing real harm. So both Mr. Umphrey and the firm caused real harm to Mr. Edgecombe and his family. Anything my fellow panel members would like to add? Ms. Wilson?
No, thank you.
Mr. Broder?
I'd just like to say briefly to Mr. Edgecombe, because I know that you expressed, you wanted something to happen, and something is happening. And I think it's important that you understand that whatever happens is not of your doing and not your fault if something more than what you would like to have happened happens. to Attorney Umphrey, if that makes any sense. There are less stringent possibilities that could happen in a situation like this, but it would have required more information from Mr. Umphrey. He would need to have participated to explain behavior and what was going to be different and so forth. And so, so I just don't want you to in any way, I know you're in a small community up there and so forth, and if Mr. Umphrey is in fact suspended, you should not feel responsible for that at all. So that's all I wanted to say to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say too, that I do think it's a good idea that you are pursuing Stallman and Hunter, because I do feel as well that they are partially responsible as well, so.
What we do next, I will be in touch with Ms. Littlehale, the clerk, again some more, and we'll be drafting a decision, circulating it among the panel members, and then issuing a decision, though it seems pretty straightforward in this case, since we're just recommending the filing of an information, what they call information with the court, because only Mr. Edgecombe, just for your, so you understand, we, the panel, don't have the power to suspend a lawyer's license. Only the court, a judge can do that. So we are recommending that the Bar Council seek a suspension with the judge, with the court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything further? Anything further you'd like to say, Mr. Edgecombe?
I think that, you know, some kind of action does need to be taken. So I guess I'm in favor of that.
Anything further, Ms. Sheridan?
No, I was just going to add that I certainly will pursue an investigation into Solomon and Hunter's actions in this matter. Thank you very much. I appreciate the panel's time this morning.
Thanks to all. And as I said, we'll be issuing a decision confirming all this as soon as possible. I hope you all have enjoy the rest of this beautiful June day. The hearing is, let's see, I think we've covered it all. The hearing is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Glenn.